it is kind of scary to see a full inspection report, but at least, they're checking all the boxes, looking at, the house with a fine tooth comb for your buyer. So, they're getting a good inspection, but it's our job to make sure that those items are accurate.
All right, hi, I'm Kramer Bookman with Homestead Roofing, and I'm here with Christine Drakos in Colorado Springs. She's with Cutting Edge Realty. We're here today to talk about what to look out for if you're selling a home, what to expect if you're buying a home. So I'm going to kick it over to Christine right now for her to kind of introduce herself and talk about how she got into realty and her story.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
So I've been in the business for approaching 5 years in the spring. I work for the Cutting Edge Realtors. It's an amazing company. I've been here for maybe 2.5 years or so. It's been great. And I've been working with you guys for a few years. And I just want to say I've definitely come across my fair share of roofers. And I have found what's most important is integrity. It's few and far between, I think, when you really feel taken care of and like you guys are, like you have our best interest in mind and the clients, obviously. So you guys just are amazing and I love working with you. Happy to be here and talk about some roof stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. So that really kind of got me thinking, I bought a house recently this last year, actually from somebody at Cutting Edge or with somebody at Cutting Edge.
Oh yeah.
But my impression is that, everybody knows that in Colorado Springs, the home values are just skyrocketing. I mean, I think we're at
Sure.
what, 8 or 9% a year, right?
Yeah.
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 So, my impression is that the home inspections are getting kind of out of hand, and it seems like they're being used as a bargaining tool to kind of try to make up for the fact that home prices are so high. Do you think that it's getting worse in the Springs, or do you think the home inspections are still pretty much the way they always were?
I think, well, in my experience, I think they're pretty similar to what I've been experiencing the past few years. But what I tell my clients, and you and I speak of this too, is that inspectors aren't licensed contractors or licensed roofers.
Mhm.
So, it's their job to just make note of anything that they might see happening or anything that looks somewhat concerning. Then, it's our job to get in touch with our vendors like you to determine if that's accurate or not. So, I mean, for me, it is kind of scary to see a full inspection report, but at least, they're checking all the boxes, looking at, the house with a fine tooth comb for your buyer. So, they're getting a good inspection, but it's our job to make sure that those items are accurate, or I guess accurately assessed.
Yeah. I guess, what would you recommend people if they're looking for a home inspector? Do you recommend home inspectors? Do you kind of have a list of telling people what to go look for in a home inspector?
Sure. So, my team, I mean, we've definitely gone through, our handfuls of preferred inspectors, and we do generally have a couple that are on the top of our list, just from, past experiences, knowing how they work, how diligent they are, their whole process. And of course, kind of referencing their background and seeing what experience they have, how many years in the business they've had. If they have any sort of team, that's always a good sign. If they have multiple hands in on the operation, they're somewhat established and that sort of thing. But for us and for my clients, I mean, it's really just the word of mouth recommendation from just trial and error. And, having done the interview process already, our clients trust us with our inspectors as we refer them.
Because I understand that home inspectors are trying to be really diligent, but one of the things that, whether you're buying or selling a house, obviously getting one of those reports can be pretty overwhelming, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure.
If you're buying the house, you're just devastated. It's like, this house is about to fall apart,
Yeah.
Yeah. but also if you're a seller, but I mean, the reality of the situation is that if you look hard enough, any house that's over 15 or 20 years is going to have a list of things.
Absolutely.
So
We call it a
how
honey-do
do you
list.
kind of work through whether it's a buyer, or a seller, how do you kind of work through that with your clients and kind of, I guess, calm them down and explain the actual situation?
So a lot of the items that inspectors will note, I like to call our honey-do list items.
Mm.
So, you're not buying, unless you are getting a new build, you're not buying a new house.
Mm.
So go into it thinking that there is going to be something noted on there, especially if, the home was built 20 years prior, codes change, so a lot of stuff is different from when it was built until now. Um, there's definitely going to be stuff on a report. In this market, it's such a seller's market that, a lot of buyers, we're seeing even waive inspections to get the offer. Or they're just asking for the major health safety type
Yeah.
issues like structural, roof, electric, plumbing, which that's like the most common that we're seeing. But, if that's the case, it's just a discussion you have to have with your buyer. This is the kind of market we're in. You don't want to ask an arm and a leg and lose your position in getting the home. But with that said, I mean, I just had a couple of transactions recently. We did actually get a lot fixed for these buyers.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the situation, how aggressive your offer is. If you're bidding well over asking price, that does give you a little bit of negotiating power when you approach the inspection, because you might have a little bit more right to ask for a little more if you're bidding X amount over. So yeah, it's just a pre-conversation you'll have with your clients, kind of managing expectations. They're not going to get the world, they're not going to get everything repaired in inspection, but just the major stuff, the stuff that's most important, most concerning, I guess, is what we really try to tackle up front.
I think so. I think we covered everything. Home inspection objections are just a fact of life now for
Yeah.
everyone. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Cool. Well, you're so fun. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything, and you guys are just awesome. Perfect. Let me know when we're live, Kramer.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Christine.
All right. Bye. Take care.
Goodbye.